Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Six Figure Developer channel. Tonight is Live Coding Wednesday, and we are going to take a look at Ash's side project. He is busy setting up his screen so that it's actually readable for all you folks out there. So, Ash, let us know when you're ready. I know that you had started to show us some of this the other night. Anyway, how's everybody doing out there? Nope, no problem.
Oh, there it goes. Just trying to get
you spelled compose wrong a second ago.
Did I spell it? Yeah, I'm super bad at typing. I spell things. All right, so yeah, this is a project that I started. It's not going to load just yet, but yeah. So right now, it's just this is basically I was looking for something to get to do as a side project and kind of get going on some app development, brush up on some JavaScript skills, and learn React. I've been obviously doing a lot more of the DevOps side of things lately, and then hadn't really done a whole lot of JavaScript framework development even before that. So it was back in 5 years ago with AngularJS was really the last time I did a ton of JavaScript. Back when ECMAScript 5 was the best you could get, and we were just the verge of ECMAScript 6.
So the Stone Age was...
Yeah, exactly. Back before you had to fake classes in order to sort of nice trigger syntax and all that sort of jazz. But so what I've done so far is I've kind of gone through some tutorials, and I evidently went through a tutorial from 2017. So I'm still 6 years off on the React, since that usually changes about every half a year. 6 generations off or something like that. But
yeah, we have hooks now.
Yeah. Okay. I don't even know what that is.
It's what you put your code on.
Oh, okay. Okay. But I started setting up this. The app that I chose to sort of write is a fitness app. I basically figured I'd been trying to do some lifting right before the beginning, and wasn't too happy with the current big apps like Google Fit and other ones. They would oftentimes especially when it came to weightlifting, you could enter, I don't know, you could just basically say I was doing high intensity weightlifting for 30 minutes, and that was about the extent to which they track things. But there's definitely other lifting logs and that sort of thing that are out there that are more focused on weightlifting. But I thought it'd be pretty cool to have just a tool that I could use that would allow me to keep track of all of my lifting and all of the activities and exercises sort of together. So, and here, let me even pull this up. I actually had put a decent amount of thought into
this empty Excel spreadsheet. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, to basically, and I can zoom this in. Oh, that's really going.
That's really zoomed in.
Basically trying to get an idea of the data. So I basically broke things. I didn't want to have to compile a list of every single kind of exercise that there ever was, because those things are always changing, and that's sort of a pretty weak way to build it, I figured. So I kind of wanted to leave that within the realm of what the user could add. So if they come up with some new exercise, they could just add it. And so what I tried to do is try to think about as many examples of exercises that I could and I started making this list and kind of keep track of the kinds of things that you might want to track with each of those exercises. And I basically broke it down into like 4 different categories. There's weightlifting, where you end up having to like actually have a weight, and then oftentimes you basically do a number of repetitions. There's this thing called is hypertrophy, which I don't know, is sort of the way you lift changes, but whether you're sort of engaging this or not, which is something I'm not familiar with, and I'm probably even using that wrong. So, but anyways, I found it. And then, you know, you might want to record how much duration, but it's not really all that critical. These other things aren't really distance. Intensity, you know, is an inaccurate estimate anyways. You're not going to have assistance or resistance because you just would take off your weights, and you might have some notes, and then you probably still care about like knowing what your body weight was or what the date was when you actually did it. And then there's like calisthenics that what's important about calisthenics is because you're using your own body weight, this is really important to like have recorded when you're actually doing those repetitions, whether you're doing like sit-ups or push-ups or something like that. It matters. It's a lot more difficult for me, who's almost 300 pounds, to do a push-up than someone else who's like 180 pounds, or me to do a pull-up because I have to pull up all 380 pounds of myself. So, or 300 pounds of myself. So basically, the things you might want to do is reps, and then again, time. But a lot of times in order to do calisthenics, you know, for folks like myself, there's ways to do sort of add assistance to your lift. So you can get like bands, or on the flip side, you can also do resistance. So folks that might hang weights, if they're doing a pull-up, they're maybe only 140 pounds and they want to do heavier pull-up, so they can just hang weights off of them. So there's sort of this assistance/resistance component. Any of the distance exercises is what I kind of labeled it, and that's really if you're going to go do something for amount of distance. Mostly actually you want to record the amount of time you spent doing it. That's sort of what I determined was most important, but you probably want to also record the distance that you did. And then now we can maybe start looking at an estimation of like how intense was it? Was it like a really intense jog or a really intense bike ride, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's lastly things that you might do that just sort of are amorphic, and it's just you're doing some sort of exercise for some amount of time. And in that case, you just need to record the time and some estimate of intensity, because really there's not a lot of data. But my assumption was if we could break it down into those 4 categories, then I could allow people to add whatever type of exercise and sort of subcategorize those. And then as we built the app, or as I kind of developed those features, it would be possible to compare that type, like I created a graph that graphed all types of some type of weight training graph, right? And you could compare those graphs against time, and they would be actual meaningful data, as opposed to, not having meaningful data. You just have a big log and you can't get any information out of it. So anyways, that's sort of where the thought process behind this started. And so I built out this React, basically did create React app. I have added one piece of Docker Compose here, where basically I can now, this lets me just run the app inside of a Docker container. So I don't even have to have Node on my machine. It's really easy to get started on any machine. This is up in GitHub under /m/ LiftFitLog. Yeah, there it is. And so you can pull this down, run Docker Compose, and you're up and running. The one little interesting thing that I came up with is it was very oh, thanks for putting that in chat. It was very difficult to get, so the app ran, but I needed to set this environment variable to so that Node would know to watch and automatically restart. Otherwise, it wasn't properly restarting. Which is then I had to Docker Compose down, and it was a pain.
You can't do file system events with Docker, so you have to do a polling instead of watching the files. Yeah,
which does add a little bit of extra delay, unfortunately, but it's not too bad.
I was going to ask what it was like spinning up a React app inside a Docker container. And good evening, Ward. Welcome. Appreciate you being here.
So I kind of cheated. I did it outside the container, and then built the environment, and then now it runs inside the container. So I ran the create React app outside in another with Node.js installed.
Have you thought about the remote containers with this?
No, I'm not familiar.
So remote containers is you develop like you're not in a container, but Visual Studio, the terminal for Visual Studio, all of the code is actually running inside a container.
Yeah.
But you're inside the container. So you develop just like normal. You can even install Visual Studio extensions for like say this app in that container. Like they won't pollute your basic Visual Studio Code setup, but they will be alive in that container. It's really nice.
Gotcha.
If you're building this Docker setup for purposes of deployment at some point, then that's different. But if you were doing it for development purposes, then the remote container is super nice.
Yeah, it was mostly for, I think it's, so I did it more for, so I did this part for development purposes because I find that then I don't have to worry about my Node version. Like I can keep this one updated, and I could also work on other projects, and it's sort of independent of whatever I'm working on. That's, I think, the main reason to be developing. That's actually the main real reason I think to develop in containers is it keeps your environments isolated from one to the other. But I'll have to take a look at that remote. Ultimately, I will run this in a Docker. I plan on running in a Docker container for development, but that actually will be different. So like I haven't even put together a Docker file yet because it doesn't really need to have one, since all we're doing is just basically bind mounting the drive.
Yeah.
And then running inside of it. So, and then would obviously need to do like a yarn build or whatever. Anyways, so to kind of give, I spent way too much time futzing around with GIMP to try to come up with a logo, and then just should have actually probably way too much time like not using an off-the-shelf component library to build out all my components. But thus far, all I've done is what I've done is basically I have a sort of static website here, and I have tried to break this into components that I think are going to be a good way of breaking the app down, and we'll see. So basically right now all I'm worrying about is basically trying to kind of put this first log together, and essentially we'll have to build some sort of back end for it to like store the data, but really this is just sort of data capture and data visualization in this sort of like very generic log entry. The way I broke it down is every little chunk here is going to be a day, and then whatever you do during that day, you would add entries with this. So this would give you a new day, and then this would give you new, the concept is set, but that doesn't exactly fit, and it also makes some of the wording a little bit weird because set is a common word that we use to set variables.
Right.
So the way I broke this down is starting with the app JS. We created this top bit, which can be basically that nav bar, this bottom, the footer, and then this middle section can be like a page. And I'm sort of I shouldn't be doing this because I'm sort of pre-optimizing for the expecting to have more pages coming down the line, but nonetheless, that's what I did. So inside of the page, we basically have a title bar, which is like a header, and then the main content of the page. So right now, this button was going to have to be there for every page, which is probably not something I'm going to want to do. We're going to want to probably pass that in, or pass whatever things that might else need to go into this header bar. Like every page might need a title, but we probably don't want them all to have.
That's an easy modification.
Yeah. So, but right now I'm at least passing this action, or the text for the action, and we'll probably have. I figured we also pass in the click event what it does, and then inside of the body of this page, it basically is its own app or own component called a journal. And that one's pretty dull, but right now it's just a class, and I've basically using the same days over and over again. And we created a day component, and the day component breaks down into two different sides. The one side, which is the day info, and the other side is the day entries. And then each one of these sets are their own components. So this is a different set. Each type of set has its own component as well. So right now, each component has a constant that is actually defining the hard-coded values, and so probably the next piece that I need to do is I need to figure out how to sort of bring this information back through the app. So that when it gets to a day, this day spins up all of these correct components based on whatever entries were built for that day. So that was sort of the next piece of work that I was going to do.
And Ryan Hawkins, thanks for the subscription, the whatever, the thing and the stuff.
Thanks for joining the family.
So,
okay, so the I might have missed it. I was kind of waiting. I was focusing on John not saying anything about Ryan Hawkins yet. But the weight training set, calisthenics set, those things are those standard for each day, or are these going to be a collection of sets that the user has added for that day?
Yeah. So this is the collection of sets, and all the reason why I have one of each is just those are the 4 different types of activities they could have, and so it doesn't really matter. Like this is how to so the bottom one, this is how to display an activity set style type of one. So I just have done one for each type.
And then at some point you'll have to discriminate your data set and choose which component to. Okay.
Correct. And so I figured that that's probably what would happen maybe here in this one. So what I need to do is I need to take right now. So right now this weight training set actually just has this constant in there, but really this probably should be props that are being passed in, I would assume, unless there's some other way of passing state, but this is about the only thing I know right at the moment. So so my
Oh well, I don't know what it is now. A year ago, I would have said there is a very specific way that you should idiomatically pass state in React, but when they added in hooks, it changed some things. You could still do it the old way, but you can also do it the new way. But yeah, there are ways to do that would be idiomatic.
Yeah. So all I have learned is sort of passing it as a prop. What is that the direction I should go, or would you say I should look at something else?
John?
I mean, I would probably do props and use prop types, and then checking all that.
Okay.
Another one that I saw when you were looking at app.js. You can go back to app.js. You were saying something about pre-optimization. 3 down from there, app.js. Page title. That's in your. Okay.
Yeah, he made it.
That's being passed as a prop.
Okay, gotcha.
He made a thing.
Gotcha. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, so eventually you'd want to add in React Router for the paging.
Yes, correct. But I don't really need it yet.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm only going to one page.
Yeah, I treat it as boilerplate, basically.
Yeah, no, that's probably fair. That's totally fair. But I mean, and I'm happy to add it. But since I don't need it, and they don't need to know about, or I don't know about it, I've just sort of chosen to not go that direction.
Don't feel too bad. I don't know about it either. I copy paste it.
Just ignore the things. It's fine.
Yeah. So, anyways, what I'm thinking is probably what I should do is basically take each one of these sets and and basically copy and paste that into this day here, and then basically have it be a typing and talking and whatnot.
Yeah, where should he be pushing the state from, John? Because so like in React, it's common to have most of your state managed in like an upper level component, and then you have all the components under that are just dummy. They just show the stuff.
Yeah. You shove all the prop types into it. Yep.
So where's the right place, just based on his current structure, for the data to live and then get passed down into the other stuff?
So, like, I obviously not there yet, and you're growing the thing in complexity as you add things, which is completely reasonable. At some point, you will have data that's not hard coded in here, right?
Correct.
So I would go ahead and I would actually take the hard coded data and put it into a place that would be your data retrieval thing.
So like a service.
Yeah, a service or something like that.
All right. So we make a new folder here. Call it services.
Maybe, yeah.
I think you did
the other thing that I've been playing
all the time.
The other thing I've been playing around with too, though, is that, like if we were looking at speaker meet, and I think we'll probably look at it in the next.
Well,
yeah, soonish.
That's one I don't have pulled up. Let me pull it up.
That I broke them out into pages as well, and then components within there, and then like the page itself makes the request to an API to get the data, and then it passes that data into the components that would need it.
Yes. Okay.
You've got little boxes laid out here for Wednesday, 4 different Wednesday, January 13th, which is interesting.
Well, that's just because
it's all just the same day over and over again.
It's the same day.
You should have done Groundhog Day.
No, I just random.
So then my question is this outer page, does that get all that, or does it each component get its thing? So figure out where the data comes from and where that separation is. Does the entire page own all of that data and would get that and then pass it into the component?
I would say, yeah. So I was either thinking one of two things, that this outer page here, this like journal area, would get all of the days, and all of the days would automatically come with all of their sets that people are doing.
Then for now, I would move all of that data
into here,
into there, and then pass into day the whatever, pass into each component only the data that it cares about.
Okay.
And then you can figure out if it makes sense to be one call or in number of calls to get different data points.
Yeah. So the other thought that I had was that here you just got the day info, and then once that day info was loaded, it would call and get all of the,
there's an entry for the 13th and the 14th and the 15th, and then let the day go and figure out what's in that entry.
Yes. So that was my other thought. So that does mean there's more calls to a back end, right?
Yeah, and that's where I would be careful, and I think you're right to be cautious about over optimization at this stage. But I think that's where it makes sense to at least just move the data to that place, and then see what it would mean to be multiple calls. Because if it is just you're going to hammer that back-end API or something for one page, and then if you get 10 users and then it's 1,000 requests per request, maybe that doesn't make so much sense.
Yep. No, I think probably what we want to do is, and my thought, so this is what I was about to do. I was about to move the calls. So right now the data's in the sets themselves. I was going to pull it into the day first, and then that would be as if the day was going and retrieving it itself, or the day had to go retrieve the sets themselves,
right.
And then pass that information in. But then I figured I could then, it would be pretty easy to just then move the day itself
into the journal,
into the journal. As a second step, and we would do that sort of if necessary. So anyway, so this is what I'm thinking is I think I'm gonna add sets, the sets type to this day, and then we'll add each one of those.
Okay, good. You've already got a set type. That's nice. Okay, yeah. So the challenge here will be move the data into day, and then you have to do the for loop to render the appropriate set for the data.
Yep, correct. Which and I already have a type. And I'd probably need to move. I can probably take this and move it out. So let me just do a little bit of copy paste here.
Yeah, and not to derail. Yeah, I would say continue on this path. At 3 steps past this, I would look into putting this into local state, and then once you are introducing, then two more steps after that, once you're introducing hooks or something like that, that would be where you might break some of this out. But that's 10 steps from now.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
I have one massive component in the application that I've been working on. I tried to start with it broken out, and it wouldn't work. And so John's just like, put it all in one spot. And I was like, I don't want to. But I caved, and I did. And so now it's like a 1,400 line component or something stupid.
Well, I said put it there to get past what you were stuck with, and then break it out. Don't leave it.
Well, I'm about to engage in round 2 for that project, so I'll have a refactor chance.
I mean, speaker meat was one massive thing, and then it's been broken out pretty significantly.
I just, I like to keep it 3 to 5, and then split 3 to 5, split 3 to 5, split.
I still haven't reviewed Ward's PR. Feel bad.
I finished my the code I've been working on for work, and every single file has descending usings,
Types, yeah.
and then all of the code, where possible, is also descending. Like if I had 2 lines and they weren't, chronologically dependent, I would move, a line up or down so that it extended out nice and smooth. And I did that for the entire solution.
There's something seriously wrong with you. You know that, right?
Yeah. I told you I accepted it.
Okay, I mean, that's really the only way to make peace.
All right. So, let's add actually one more. It's the exact same thing, but just for making the data a little bit interesting.
Crazy.
Yeah, we'll do how about some bench press as well?
Hashtag PR needs love. Sorry, Ward.
What is that? 10,000 points? 1,000 points? How much is it?
Well, it's a PR for speaker meat that he submitted.
Yeah, but technically it's his code, so he just needs to spend the points, and then we can get it done.
10,000 points, and we'll review it.
Okay, this is being slow. Okay, so now that I have all of these sets coming off of what do you?
I also thoroughly enjoy the application is hello world _1.
Where is
What?
it?
In your terminal.
Oh yeah. Oh, in the
because the Docker file. Yeah.
Docker file. Yeah.
He's like, it's running. I quit. Let's move on.
Yeah, that's pretty much the extent of it. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, here's where your application is going to get
He went to the
not
trouble
attractive
of adding a fave icon, but not the Docker.
Well,
name.
he was lost in GIMP for a while.
I was lost in GIMP, and I was busy figuring that out. But yeah, I mean, well, the fave icon you can see in the browser. So
yeah. So John, correct me if I'm wrong. But here's
wrong.
Here's where what you need to do is above the return, you have to create a variable, and you set the variable equal to the for loop result of what you want to render in that spot down there, and then you just double curly brace that variable where you've got your sets. React doesn't have like a built-in switch case thing, does it?
JavaScript. What are we doing?
So
if React had built-in switch case components, then he could just do that.
I don't know what's happening though.
He needs to render the correct component for each item in his data set.
Yep.
I need to go set in his sets in his data set.
Yeah. So was it for each?
Can you just map?
Oh yeah, map.
Oh, map.
That's
yeah,
what
yeah,
it is.
yeah. That's the way.
I ran out of caffeine today. Yeah, up there instead of quotes, just day.sets.map.
Yeah, Ward. I think what they're trying to say that for each item in that array, they want to return line 78 per day. Is that right?
Yeah. Like 89, like line 89.
Okay.
needs to render, but only if it's a weight set. If it's an activity set, then we would render line 92 or whatever it is.
Activity set.
I nailed it.
Yep.
Yeah, so it'd be map and then S, fat arrow.
Then I think Ward's on to something there.
Oh, yeah.
Conditionally do that.
So if S that
type activity.
Type. Equals,
you have no parens.
Some parentheses.
He's a DevOps guy. Leave him alone.
Yeah, it's been a while. Set types. That's what we call it. Set types.
Dot weight. Sure. And then you just
then
return.
I want to basically
return
render
HTML.
Set type plus equals.
No. Just return HTML.
And that HTML is this.
Whatever your distance set or whatever it is, the set that you want to render from down below.
Yeah,
activity set, weight set, whatever.
Gotcha.
Or something.
You only really need the open close paren if it's just that, then you can just do that. Yeah.
You're saying that works. Mm-hmm. Do I need
and
the
semicolon
still?
And then just pass the set in, I guess, right? No, you need the semicolon because JavaScript.
So we could call it. We don't have a prop there yet, but we could call it set equals.
I'm not sure what we're mapping against. Then I guess
we're mapping against the list of sets. So he needs to render the appropriate set, passing in the set data, which is S.
Oh, is it like this? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
yeah. So then we'll do this for each one, right?
Yep, copy paste.
Copy paste.
And then you can do a pattern or something later to make this part a little bit prettier, but this is basically what it comes down to. What's a big old if then else? Or if then return?
What activity set?
Which will give him a list of components, and then he can just double curly brace the rendered sets down below. Yeah, so the day.sets.map, that needs to be a variable blah blah equals day.sets.map. Yeah. And I've tried it. I've never had any luck getting the map to work in the HTML. I've always had to do it as a variable before the return. Is that accurate, John? Or could he just do this down there and it work?
I mean,
as long as you put it in JavaScript, right? Like you have to put it inside of the quotes or the curly braces in here.
I probably. So you want. I would probably pull this out. Scroll up a little bit.
How far?
Farther to the top of your. So you probably don't want to do all of this in render. All of this should be outside of render.
Oh yeah.
Because for every rendering, it's gonna have to do all of that crap. So I would probably pull that out into a function or something like that, and then you're not recompiling that function for every render.
Okay.
Well, he can just as it is right now, he can just, because it's raw data, it's not being pulled in.
And that's
copy paste,
so I would just make sure that you're getting what you expect here, and then make that
everything but the return. Just put it above render. Oh, you're doing a class. that's one of the things that's throwing me off. Instead of we don't do classes anymore.
Okay. So I noticed that I left app that way. App.js is a func.
Yeah.
So should I convert these to funcs?
Yeah.
Or this one at least?
Yeah. I know, right? You put all that work into it, and you like.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a func.
Get your OO
That's
on.
why I wanted. That's why I wanted to make sure that you, along the way, as you're making these changes, does it still work?
Sure.
So just function day.
So,
or leave it like this, I guess, for a little while.
Okay, let me leave it like this real quick because I think this will work, and then we just need to put in rendered sets here, and that's going to break it here for a second.
It shouldn't. You need to.
No, it will.
Curly braces.
It will, and that is because, I mean, it won't actually break it, but it will. Might.
It will might.
It will might.
But that is because all of these need to be updated.
You'll get a prop error.
Needs to be
render.
Render.
Yeah, you got to do it's double curly braces, I think, right?
This dot props. Set.
Yes. Go back to day. I believe it's double curly braces, not single curly braces. Oh, there it goes. Never mind. I was wrong. Ta-da!
What did we do? So some of those are turning up incorrect.
I think you don't have your entire list. You've only got 4 things. Is there only 4 things?
No, actually I have 5 things in here.
Right.
These 2 weights, but I'm sort of confused.
I meant...
How is this one getting it? This one's getting set, but this set should be... The only one that should be working is the activity right now. I'm not understanding why this one's working.
It's not working. It's just that the component is being rendered. It's basically disregarding the fact that you passed in the prop of set. It doesn't care.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But I think that you're missing some of the set types. I think is why you're not seeing like 5 or 6 things show up, and you're only seeing 3 things show up.
That's probably true. Yeah. Okay. We'll have to check that. Okay. This dot prompts dot set. Let me just take this and copy and paste it. Activity set. Yeah.
Oh, noes.
Calisthenics, matrix daily exercise. I think I actually got calisthenics one. Okay, so those should all be working, but the problem is in day. If we come up here.
Yeah, there's weight training, calisthenics, distance, and activity. But
type
activity set. Oh, activity set isn't 1.
You're correct. That's probably a misspelling here.
Well, you grabbed the wrong side anyway, but it's... Your capitalizations is all. Then there's activity, but not activity set. Yeah. You've got 2.
Oh, yeah. Wait, why don't I fix this? That should be a D, and this should be an A.
Broke everything.
And this should be a C. And that should be a D, lowercase d. That's correct.
Okay, so then scroll down to the if then else. What do we got? All right, distance exercise, so that needs to be changed. Weight training set is just weight training with no set. Activity is just activity. And calisthenics is just calisthenics. So that's what happened. It was all spellings.
Yeah. Case. Yep.
It's all the wordage.
That'll get you.
Gotta wait for it to build.
All right.
Yeah, you're going to want some ESLint and some prop types and all those things in there so that it would catch all that for you.
Give it to him. Show him the way. I don't know how to do the ESLint built in with the stuff and the things.
And there it is. Okay.
So you got 4. You should have more than that, right?
Should have more. So
2 weights, 1 distance, 1 8. Yeah, calisthenics is not showing up.
Calisthenics didn't show up.
Copy paste from the top to the bottom. Grab line 13. Not there. The other side. And then pastificate everywhere.
Oh no, it's there.
Just delayed reaction, I guess.
Yep.
Okay, so now everything is showing up.
Everything is there. We added this one just to prove it. Okay, so it's cool. So that is all. That's all there. So then here, let me commit this because this is moving data. And then, actually, let's do some more cleanup beforehand.
And then functify, I guess, next. Or?
Well, yeah. Let's functify next. Okay, so I don't need these. Do I need those intensity types? Yes, I do need that intensity type.
Yeah, so far the only thing you've done is migrate data. Yeah, you've only migrated data up. So just get rid of the sets from each one of those.
And I don't need that.
Oh, you'd copy that whole enum?
Yeah. Just for place. It was temporary.
Yeah. Keep trucking.
Oh. What's next? Here's that. Oh, man, yeah. Two. Huh, perfect. So that pulls those into. Yeah. So one interesting thing is, I guess, and maybe I could do that, but going back to the day here. So building this HTML out, that is effectively what a component does. So would it not make more sense to actually just put this in a component?
Oh, you could. I mean, that component would basically just have that.
It would still have this now, wouldn't it, though?
Probably. So what I was saying earlier is, so I believe that you should be able to just have the map down there where you have rendered sets, but every time I've tried that, I've run into problems. So I always use a variable. I don't know if you are supposed to have to or not. So if you wanted to get rid of the variable, you could try that. But ultimately, I think you're going to have this if-else, switch case, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, so, and then you were saying we want to functionify this. So this becomes function.
Yeah, and you can just do, you can just export function day, and then you get rid of the extends. She's no longer needed.
Do you have speaker meet pulled down?
Yeah, you had it up a minute ago, I thought, right?
Or
you were gonna pull it up?
No, I didn't have it. I had another one, but I can pull it up here.
I was just gonna show Clayton. Well, yeah, go ahead and pull it up if you don't mind, and we can show everybody.
I do not have speaker meet pulled down.
Pull up featured speakers if you have latest components, featured speakers. So there's inside that return, there's a map. Something about a map. Yes, sir. Wait.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got a map. But it is done semi-differently.
What is this? I guess it's just a div, but a shorthand?
I think that's a mistake.
No, it's not a mistake. It is like a div, but shorthand. These components have to return a single.
Yeah, is
item.
that short for React fragment?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know you could do that. I've just got, fragment everywhere. Well, I use React dot fragment. I didn't feel like importing it from React.
So
okay, so these have to return this. Okay.
A single thing. So that makes it a single thing without wrapping it in a div or having to type out React dot fragment.
I kind of like the shorthand. It's a little less self-explanatory because we had to ask a question, but it is nice and short.
Yep. But anyway, so there's some conditional rendering happening, like the is loaded ? Otherwise, do that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so if you wanted to try that and move your map down into the actual render, you could.
And then you went ahead and just exported that
default,
right away instead of doing it down here.
For those following along, here is the GitHub repo for SpeakerMeet UI.
Well, you just delete that whole line you were on.
It's true.
Otherwise, you got a day just hanging around line 109.
Hey, I always love having days hanging around. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
And then now you don't
not
need
happy about something.
Well, you wouldn't have the render function now.
Okay. So what?
Because the whole thing is the render function. Yeah, it would just be the return.
This is just a return.
Yeah. Well, just delete that line, and then go to the bottom and delete the corresponding closing curly brace.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, that one. Line 104. Yeah.
Right?
Control X. Ta-da! And then
we grab all of this.
Alt Shift F.
Shift it.
Just Alt Shift F.
Okay. And then
Alt right.
Everything.
Alt right. Alt
right.
Sorry.
Still not happy about something here.
You don't have parens. It's a function.
It's a function. Well, how about that? That makes sense.
I think you have to take in.
So
do you have to take in props or anything in the function call? Or no? I want to say I had to add like my props.
Well,
in the function definition.
Is this working?
Are you passing in props? Are you expecting?
He will for he won't for day, but he will for the training sets.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Do you want me to let's also do this on this one?
Yeah, I would say, especially this early in this learning process, make sure it works all along the way.
Too many activities set.
Nope,
too many activity
wrong.
set.
Too many activity set. You're too many. Not enough.
Yeah, not enough activity set. And it's mad about something F. Now, but it's a Alt Shift F. I'm not sure what it's mad about right now, so you want to find out that.
Was expecting a semicolon.
Somewhere's right there, right where your cursor is actually.
14.
Where else? Maybe somewhere else. I don't see anywhere else. Oh, get rid of the curly brace at the bottom, or get rid of the semi at the bottom. You don't need that. Now go look. It's still mad.
Export activity set.
Function.
Oh, I need a function. right? I could also spell it correctly.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Your other function.
There we go. Now it's happy.
Yeehaw. Scroll to the bottom, just make sure it's not complaining, because we removed a semicolon and it's not good. You shouldn't need the semicolon there, but it shouldn't also complain that you don't have it.
All right. Well, I like to put the semicolons there because I like to punctuate my
end of line.
Yeah.
Okay. What's it mad about? Does not contain a default. Okay, so you got to go and change your No.
What does it not like about here?
Well, it was saying that it didn't
coming.
contain a default, but it does.
It's probably just it's probably just.
Well, now you've done it.
Okay, now it's failing to read this props. Okay, so this is the.
Yeah, so now you need a set. In
here.
I think so, yeah. And then I think you can just use. Right, or is that right, John? I'm not the React expert.
Sorry, what?
So that he has a proper property passed into his activity set.
So then I don't need this at all, right?
Parameter of the function, and then he can just use it as is, right?
So I've always seen the property being passed in to be called props, and then you just
and then props whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then you would const set equals props. So on line 16,
no, you
put curly's around set, and then it just equals props. So 16 is const curly.
Do the destructuring.
Yeah. And then just equals props.
Yeah, you don't need this, and you don't need set.
You do need
const, yeah.
Const set equals props.
John's getting fancy with you. Nope. Yep, get rid of this and get rid of dot set.
So that is declaring and extracting set from props.
Object destructuring.
I see. Okay. Yeah,
just like if you were returning a magic tuple in C#.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is always props that it takes in.
It's what it appears to be.
Okay.
I knew something had to be there. I couldn't remember what.
Okay. So let me do the rest. Oh well. Let's see if this works.
It's still mad.
What's it mad about?
Probably mad about a different.
It's still
object.
The last. That's the last compilation. That's not the.
No,
the
it's done.
No, but look at line 16.
What?
Yeah,
right,
it was still showing that it was the last rendering.
Your compils is slow.
Yeah. I'm not sure why.
React and Docker.
I mean I'm running Laravel and React in Docker, and the initial render is like stupid slow, but then after that, if I'm doing the watch polling, it's fast.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm doing watch polling. I'm not doing. Mine's not pushing it to the screen. I have to hit refresh. I have to F5.
Oh, I see. How did you have to? Was that a different set here, or what did you do?
Well, so you're not. You're doing yarn start, and I was just doing npm run. npm run watch dash poll, which is in the npm for the the package JSON,
the package,
wherever they are. Oh, you don't even have them. You've got a different stuff. I don't know. I did create React app way back in the day, like October.
npm start also works here as well, but yarn start is kind of nice because you have to do npm install and npm start.
Oh, I do npm install as part of my Docker container.
Yeah, so because this isn't a part of that Docker container, in order to get it installed, if it's a brand new one and there's no node modules already pre-pulled.
Okay. I don't know. I never got into Yarn.
It's new to me as well, so I figured why not. It's just always dangerous. But that destroys the.
Yeah, it's easy to type export default though.
It's easy for you to say.
Just don't forget function. Not like that. I hate it when IntelliSense is like, "Ooh, let me help you out." It's like worse than Clippy. Yep, and then delete line 7 and delete line 29. And that's pretty much it.
No, we have to.
You got props, and then and then do the destructuring.
Then we need to.
I don't think I'm using object destructuring in my React app.
I'm assuming that's a ES6 thing.
ES something or another. It's JavaScript. Yeah, it's not anything special that React brought in.
Yeah, that looks good. It's probably going to catch up, so we'll just keep on trucking here.
Nope.
Got it.
How we doing, chat, everybody?
One thing on your mind the whole time.
How we doing, chat, everybody? Hanging in? Hanging out? Hanging in? Any questions out there? Ward, you still there?
Feel free to shout at the screen via chat.
By all means.
Can you insert a hyperlink in Outlook web client?
I don't see why you wouldn't be able to. In fact, if you just type the HTTPS : / blah 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 blah, it should recognize it and turn it into one anyway.
Yeah, but I wanted it to be
something else. After it picks it up and it goes, oh, that's a hyperlink, you can right click on it and then edit it, and you can change the text, or you can make it an image or whatever you want. Should be able to anyway.
No, it's giving me browser nonsense.
Oh, we'll use a real browser.
So helpful. Always the helpful gentleman.
No. We still need that.
97.33. Surly Dev is cheating. Haven't seen Surly in a little while. I mean, the bots are hanging out, but...
Editor? No.
Do you not get something when you hover over it? Oh, geez. Broke everything.
Control click to follow. Whoa. That's not spelled right.
Did you end up at the wrong website?
No. Function.
Oh, yeah. No, he has a habit of doing that. He's just got one thing on his mind.
Dyslexic. Oh, it's just catching up. It's all good.
It'll get there eventually.
It'll get there eventually. Sort of an eventual consistency database.
If you give it some time, it's fully acid.
That's right. Okay, so then you guys were saying, and this is, do I need to? Should I pull any of this stuff out?
No.
So that render function. It doesn't matter now.
So if it's a dummy component and it's not doing any of the data crunching, then no, it doesn't really matter, because the only thing that it's figuring out is what to display. And so these components here, it doesn't matter at all. The day component right now is doing all the heavy lifting.
Yep.
And it may be so.
But first off, we wanted to take all of this.
Yeah, the thing is, so like this stuff is gonna have to get re-rendered if that data set changes, regardless. So it's where you're doing the re-rendering, I don't think matters too much.
Or wait,
something happened there. What's the get rid of the semicolon? Yeah, that might work.
Oh, that was just inlining.
And then and then you could delete the thing. And then in 5 minutes, we'll know if that worked. But I think what John was concerned about is if you were pulling in the data in here, then what will happen is every time that a render is triggered, it'll have to pull in that data, recalculate, do stuff. But if it's just a rendering action, which I think that's all you've got right now, then you should be fine. It's not like a render happens every 300 milliseconds or something like that. It only happens when it's triggered. Like if you click something that causes it to change its look.
Cool. So now, if you were to add like another one of these, for example, what do I do? Pull-ups.
Poop. Oh, yeah, pull-ups is good.
Pull-ups. Not doing any extra. How about we get 15 pounds of assistance?
Thanks for the follow, Lumjacker. Appreciate it.
In our subscribers list, it's like freaking word.
Three legends. We're legends?
I guess we are now. Don't you gotta die before you can be a legend? Is he telling us we're past our prime?
Well, I think, we had Jeremy D. Miller on the podcast on Monday. That episode will be out in a week or two. But we were saying that if he were a successful killer, assassin, then we would know what his middle name is. I'm not sure if you would appreciate that or not.
I think that was before he got on the call, but
now it's out there in the open for everybody. So.
I forget what movie that is. Was it that one with Bruce Willis?
No.
Where he blows off Jack Black's arm. But anyway, there's some movie where they're talking about assassins and how they all have 3 names.
Yeah, it was the one. Don't remember the name of the third person. Saw him multiple times on social media. Fair enough.
Cool.
I almost had it. Gosh, what was it?
So is there, other than just syntax, trigger syntax, idiomatic, why function instead of the class?
So it's I don't know if it's impossible to use hooks with the class syntax, but it's certainly got to be harder. And hooks is the new way that React is choosing to communicate state throughout its application. So, and also do a bunch of other stuff. So by switching to functions, you're allowing yourself to do hooks. And then
I see.
It's more idiomatic.
So right now, I'm doing it via props, and that's going to be, I'm going to rip that out here in a little bit.
No, that part will stay.
Okay.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Now eat a frog. Conspiracy Theory was the movie where they were talking about Lee Harvey Oswald and.
Oh, okay, right. With
the topic for today, Live Coding Wednesdays is usually centered around some of our personal projects. We have spent some time on Clayton's Blazor CMS project, also with Blazor Game Engine, a port of Monogame in Blazor. We spent some time on my Speaker Meet project, React and .NET Core, .NET 5 application for speakers, technology speakers, conferences, user groups. And this week is Ash's turn, working on his LiftFitLog fitness logger, learning and growing and figuring out React. So if you have any specific questions, concerns, want to yell, want to watch the guy falling, my goodness, that one's just
that's the
flying across
original
the
jerk or something, right?
So fast, I can't tell.
That hurt my eyes. Yeah, no, we'll never know because they didn't land on the thing.
Yeah, so early in Ash, you were describing that this was a way to get back into JavaScript and front-end development because you've spent a lot of time in DevOps the last few years. You want to give the spiel again?
Yeah, sure. So I have been looking to sort of brush up my skills. My day-to-day work is mostly DevOps, and the last time I've really done JavaScript was pretty much back, like 5 years ago with AngularJS. And so I was just looking to say, well, there's React seems pretty cool, and we'll, what can I learn? I think ES5 was really the last time I was really doing anything major. So ES6 is even kind of all new to me. And I see it and I know enough to like figure it out. So I work with my team that I work with. They're all doing React, and they're actually using TypeScript, but React and TypeScript, and so I'm sort of in and out of the code, but I'm actually not doing any programming or development. So it's a lot different when you're not doing that. And then this fitness log, this was an idea. I wasn't really happy with the just like the default fitness apps that you can get out there, like Google Fit or whatever. There are better fitness. There are sort of better lifting specific logs that are out there, but I just wanted to have something that worked better for me. And so, I developed this and came up with, I didn't want to have to like figure out every single kind of exercise that there ever was. So I wanted the user to be able to do that. And I basically sort of came up with 4 different categories that you could create as many exercises as you want, as long as it fits in those 4 categories. And then what I've done is we've developed basically a component to log out that information based on what type of exercise it is, and then you can just add it. So thus far, we've sort of broken things down, working on this first page, if you will, of this app, which is primarily focused on just like collecting the data and displaying it. Yep. What we've done today so far is I had each one of these components built out, but the information was hard coded in it. And what we've done is we've pulled that back so that it's now inside of the day component, which the information will either get passed to the day component from the journal, or it will get or the day will have to like go and fetch those things. We haven't decided which we're going to go, but I think for probably the next thing I would do is I need to basically take this day and get it being fetched inside of the journal. But that's a pretty similar process. And one thing I think that might be interesting is to wire up. There's one element of these that I haven't got working yet, but could, and that is this set the count increase. So this little button on the side, the idea was that it would be sort of like and maybe this is going to mess up our stuff because these are currently being passed as props. So this might sort of throw a whole wreck in what we've done already.
Well, yeah, then you get into life cycle events and all kinds of
right.
fun.
So I can at least talk you guys through it, and maybe you guys can tell me what I need to do. But what I want to do is I want to basically be able to have this button, and the edit will obviously spin up probably a modal or whatever, and I don't really need to tackle that just yet. But this little plus, I just want it to be like a counter. So if you're at the gym, and you've done one of these sets, you can just keep doing more of them and just hit the button to increase the number of sets.
Okay. And real quick to answer Lumjacker's question, are we all computer science graduates, or is there anyone who's self-taught here?
Self-taught.
And I am also self-taught and dropped out twice.
And I went for computer science in college, and I went for 2.5 years and joined the workforce after dropping out myself. So really didn't learn much in those 2.5 years. We had a lot of problems with their staff professors. So community taught over the last 20 or so years.
Yeah, here.
What about you?
Yeah, no,
you in the field in computer science, learning, growing, working yourself, self-taught.
Yeah, I've done 4 of 5 years of aerospace engineering before I ran out of money and couldn't continue. And I probably should have started and continued as a mechanical, because that would have been easier. But I kind of already got the idea that I had along the way learned a lot about computer stuff, and I was like, man, this looks way cooler than and even the aerospace was sort of related to computer that I had done, the little industry work that I had done, and just wanted to switch. And I got started, and then a kid came along. It was like priorities change. But you keep working at it, and there's a lot of opportunity for people that are self-taught in our industry, fortunately.
Oh yeah, the hardest part of being self-taught is getting past HR for that first job.
Yeah.
Like the self-taught people that I've worked with are generally better than the college-taught people that I've worked with in the work that I do. I'm sure that there is a breed of work that the college-taught person would have an advantage, but 90% of development jobs that we run across are line of business applications and things like that. So you're not doing the most complicated thing in the world. You're putting together something similar to this application that Ash is working on, where it's basically, I want to create a new record, I want to update that record, I want to get that record back from the database, and that's the entire app. So you don't need a college education for that. What you need is somebody who is a hard worker and who actually knows how to program. And if you can get past HR and get that first job after that, as long as you keep your head in the books and learning, the whole programming career is a pretty sweet job to be in.
Yeah, and Clayton and I are in the Tampa, Florida area, and Ash is in Columbus, Ohio. We all used to live and work in Louisville, Kentucky. We used to work together there. But we've been involved in meetups and user groups and conferences across the United States. Down here in Tampa, I'm involved with one of the code schools down here and helping them with curriculum and advice and working with students there. So, I enjoy seeing the next generation, and that's young, old, new, whatever, to the industry coming up and learning and growing. I really enjoy seeing software development through the eyes of someone that doesn't have the same biases and jaded experiences as some of us, and seeing what the possibilities. It's a new and refreshing outlook.
Yep.
Ash, as far as getting that plus button to work, that can be a can of worms. John might be able to help you get through it without opening the can of worms, but I wouldn't be able to.
So if I understand you correctly, and what you're worried about currently is that to be able to modify this collection of data, would potentially cause re-renderings if we were looking at it as being retrieved at the page level. So I might look at this that maybe at this page level, you retrieve how many, like this truly would be Wednesday, January 13th, Thursday, January 14th. Is that broken up by sequential days? So I would say maybe the page level event is give me the listing of days that have data, and then in each one of those day row components, now go get the data for that one for that day, and then you could modify and edit a day without re-rendering all days and all entries. Does that make sense?
I see. So what you're saying is, okay, so right now these sets are sitting here on this concept, but let's just say that they were in another variable. Let's say they were when this day rendered, it went and got all of the sets for that day. If this button goes and updates that information, all of these need to be re-rendered. Is that correct?
I thought React would only update the div, the box that had a data change inside of it. Doesn't it track all the things and it knows what has and hasn't been updated?
It depends what you're rendering at what level.
Oh, which reminds me, you need a key on every one of these.
On those maps and stuff, yeah, for sure.
Otherwise, it will re-render all of them. But if you have a key and you can pass like an ID of the data set in, like if your day had an ID, then it should know that the one with this key is the one that's been updated, and it won't re-render all of it. But the can of worms that I'm referring to is the whole state loop that React has. Because like if you click a button somewhere on the page and you want to update some data on the page, like in Angular, you would just update the data. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I updated a counter. Yeehaw. In React, it's not the same. In React, my understanding, the way that they want the data to behave is the data is maintained somewhere in the ether, and you push an event. Seriously, you push an event like to almost a message queue. That event then triggers whatever action is going to update the data, and then now that the data has been updated, that new state gets pushed down to all of the components, and then if those components depend on the data that has changed, then they will re-render. It doesn't feel quite that complicated with hooks, but there is still that level of complexity. You're doing that unidirectional data loop. So you have to send out a command that you want to update something, and then someone somewhere else manages that update, and then they push down new state. So your component is never manually manipulating the data inside of itself. It is instead asking somebody else to update the state with some action.
And then it says, oh yeah, now re-render. Hey, look, here's a new thing with different props. Render that thing.
Yeah.
And Ryan says, old but new, and looking forward to this for a retirement job. I had a mentee over the last few months. We were working together on Zoom calls or Skype calls or whatever. And he recently got a new job, transitioning from a completely different field. So he got hired, I think, in December. Yeah, I think in December. And I think he's in his mid to late 50s. So completely new to the field and making a career switch and really doing well for himself. So, I mean, there's nothing stopping you. New new, young, old, green.
So
There's
Yoda can get a programming job.
Absolutely. Baby Yoda, not so much, maybe, because the eating frogs is frowned upon. I don't know. But I mean, there's plenty of opportunity out there.
He could get a job programming in the Bayou.
Hit 20 years in 3 years.
20 years at your current profession, whatever that is. Yeah, 3 years is if you lean into it is plenty of time to learn what you would need to learn to be competitive in today's market. Like I said, the hardest part is just, I have no experience. Can you give me a job? And if you can get past HR without that experience, college makes up for the experience. But one or the other is what they normally want. But if you can get past HR, then as long as you've done your work, you should be golden.
Yeah, that's why I like the boot camps and the code schools. Some of them have really good relationships with companies in their region, in their city, and they can get you the introductions that you might need to break into the field.
And they are way more effective at teaching you the things that will be useful when you get a programming job than college is. College is going to teach you big O notation and theory, but it doesn't actually teach you anything about how to program, which I find frustrating as much as people spend on college.
Yeah, one thing I will say is with all of the years of experience that you have in your other career, that I think also makes a huge difference getting that new or entry position, because a lot of times you're competing with folks who have no working experience, and just having all of the experience of just working and life experiences and whatnot is pretty massive. When we were doing our hirings, we love to see people, even if they had no or less or limited programming experience, we'd love to see people have but other career experience, and we definitely targeted them.
Yeah, and if they've got eagerness, that's good too. But Brian says, looking to have proof, planning on making a portfolio. Yeah, a portfolio is good. I think having an active GitHub account is often quite good as well. That shows first and foremost that you know how to use Git, which a lot of software teams are using. It also shows maybe it can show off your progression. It can show off the things that you learned and implemented and have been playing around with, and maybe even contributing to open source projects if that's what you're interested in.
Yeah, when I am cyber stalking a potential new employee, I look at LinkedIn, I look at Git, and then I look at any teaching materials they might have. So like YouTube, Twitch, those kinds of things. If they've got, I've got a YouTube channel, and they've got that on their resume when I get it, I'll go to the YouTube channel and check them out. And if they can put together anything halfway decent at all, then that's huge boons on the chances that I'm going to want to hire them. It's the involvement, I think, is the attractive part. It doesn't even matter exactly what level the involvement is, just the fact that there is involvement, that this person seems to enjoy programming, and that tells me that they're going to be better at it.
So going back to this, and maybe this is not the right time. Maybe we just talk about it and sort of try to solve it. But right now, this day component is what's basically fetching the data for all the sets, and so it really should be the one that would control that state. So it would also need to, my understanding is, hand back the action that this click is, or this button is going to trigger. Is that correct?
Depends.
I would say just plug something in for now and see if that gets you what you want. See if that works.
Well, he's wanting to try and click this plus button. So if he puts the plus button in the exercise set, then that plus button has to do something.
Yeah. So that plus button would then increment the 2x next to green W.
Yep. Okay.
Is 2x currently data in your fake data?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right here.
Hey, Ryan, feel free to continue to ask questions. We're also trying to help Ash through his thought process on this as well. But yeah, I would adding to GitHub daily is great, even if it's minor refactoring.
Yep.
I was trying to do daily there for a while during pandemic, during the height of it, and I did for probably 2 months solid, and then just got overwhelmed with other stuff. So, but yeah, contribute away and but also take care of yourself and make sure that you're doing what you need to do as well. So Ash, you wanted to increment that number.
Yeah. So right now, this whole set is being passed into the weight training set component, and then that parses it out and displays this, and it creates this button, and we're passing that as a prop. And my understanding, there was something that I was, again, maybe this is just not true anymore, but something about props not being able to change or something or other. So
yeah,
but I guess it's right now it's a const, so we'd have to pull this into a variable anyways, but so that we could update this number 2.
So my instinct would be to create a function in this space that knows how to update the count, and it'd be like a service call or whatever, right? But a function that knows how to update the count, and then pass the function as a prop down into the training set, whatever it is, weight training or exercise training. And then when you click the plus button, you would just run that function, which will then notify this component that stuff needs to happen. But that could be horribly wrong. John will tell you.
All right, and you're also mentioning that I need to have an ID, which I'm going to imagine would make updating the count easier.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, more accurately, you don't. Yes, an ID here would be great. More accurately, you need a key in map. In your map, you have to have a key,
and then we could use that here, right?
Yeah, just inside the component distance exercise set key equals ID. Yeah, just like right before set. Yeah, it's just a prop, but it's a hardwired known prop that you.
Yeah, so it would be key
s.id.
S.id. Yeah.
And then you need that for all of those.
What's the S? Oh, the S is the set. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then you would ultimately you would do the same thing for your list of days, but we're not, later.
Yeah. All right. So let me get an IDs on all these.
Yeah. So the event would be, you click the plus. You would then tell something that number needs to change. So like a call to a service, to an API, increment that value. It would then either increment the thing that you have in local state, or it would refetch that row, and then those props would be passed down back into your component. So it's not really that you're wanting to change the data in your state. It's that you're wanting to change your persisted data and have that reflected in your UI.
Okay. So,
walking through it.
So function, let's do length function, inc set count equals, no. We don't need the equals. What am I thinking? Yeah, I know. Shut up. Wait, what'd I do? Let. I got these all backwards.
You don't need the let if you're going to do a function. If you're going to do a let, then you would do an arrow function, which is where the equals would come from.
Wait, what? Oh,
let int count, open close parens, arrow function. Or yeah, arrow. Yep.
Like
there you go.
That. Aha! I can JavaScript. I can script the Javas.
He knows the JavaScripts.
All of them. I know all the JavaScripts. Okay, so then, and we probably need to take in an ID here, right? And then what we want to do is...
So to like hack it in, you could just modify your data set that you've got up there. You could find the one that has the matching ID and then update the value and pretend like you sent it off to a service.
Yes, that's what I would do, yes.
Right, so to hack this in, let's see, it'll be, I guess we do a map, right?
You do like... Well, this would be so you would do like let set equal day.sets.filter s where s.id equal id, and then that's going to give you back an array of matches, and then you just take the first item in the array and modify the count plus it.
What is this? S dot.
No. So filter is a boolean. It's like select, or sorry, it's like a where in C#. So you're just s where s dot id equal id. You don't need the open close curly braces. It's a single line.
No.
Bob. Yeah.
I do need the S and the fat arrow, right?
Yes. Exactly like link, just s.id equal id. And filter is going to give you back a matching array of items, but there's only going to be one item that matches. So you want to capture this. So like let my set equal all of that, but only the first element in the array. Whatever you want to call it, it doesn't even matter. And then at the very end of that line, just square brace 0. For right now, we can assume there's a match. Later, we can handle the...
Oh, fair enough. I gotcha. Okay. And then now we can do inkset...
dot count plus.
Dot set count. Oh, yeah, count. Yeah.
Why the space? I mean, it ultimately doesn't matter. It's not why space is significant. Just
I don't know. I always put space in between all my operations.
I mean, it's your code style. I was just curious. I didn't know if it was like my thumb just wanted to hit the space bar, or if it was like this is the way.
It's possible. That's definitely a possibility. But no, I mean, I try to put spaces in between on my like multiplication.
And then you need to...
Okay, so now we need to pass that into, like, this one. So...
Yeah, call it whatever you want.
Ink. That... Ouch. Equals ink set.
Yeah, so now if you want to do that, I believe you can just pass it in. You don't have to actually... like, you don't have to say ink set count equal. You can just ink set count, right?
John?
Oh, sorry.
If you have a prop in the name of the,
or do I have to do this
with the with the curlies, but just without the ink set count equal part?
I think without the ink set part, it's going to pass it in as a Boolean.
It's a function reference. Doesn't it just attach it to the props? I thought. Whatever. Do it this way. It's fine.
All right. This is the way that I learned. So we'll do it this way. Okay. So then here, here we need to do what? On click equals props dot what is it? Set.
It'd be ink set count.
Yeah.
Set.
And we have to do
set.id. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might work. We'll see kind of errors we got here. I'll start a refresh and when it comes back.
That's happening out of a render loop, and I don't think that that's going to trigger a render, right? Just manipulating the data doesn't trigger a render in React.
I think it
so
does.
You'd have to.
It would if it were in local state.
Oh,
but it's not, right?
It's not. Oh, we got something wrong, anyways.
Yeah.
Ink set is not a function.
What? Where?
Ink set count.
Yeah, I think that's what you called it.
Day.
And it was on the distance exercise, right? Oh, you're in weight training set. Just so as you know. And that's
that
distance
would make
exercise.
Sense. And that doesn't have one.
Distance doesn't?
No. So the only ones that need it would be weight training and calisthenics.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're not going to like, I ran 3 miles and then I ran 3 sets of 3 miles.
You don't know.
Doing wind sprints.
We could add it.
I'm also not going to run 3 miles, but whatever.
I run 1 mile and then I did that 3 times.
Well, like if you ran a mile in the morning and then at lunch and then after dinner.
But I figured you might want to record that 3 individual
well, it's the same thing 3
runs.
times. Why would you could just click a plus button.
Well, let's do it. I'm not going to be doing that, so okay.
And ultimately, this is for you. So, okay.
All right. So now,
I think it's already done it. Yeah. Or.
Oh,
no,
it did.
No. Well, but all of them changed, and it shouldn't be all of them that changed. Or no, it would.
Yeah, they all changed.
But if you click it again, nothing happens.
Nothing's happening. Correct.
Hit F12. What's your console say?
My console says.
Oh, boom! It says boom.
Boom.
It says kablooey.
Ink set count is not a function.
Can I zoom this in? Yeah.
Yeah, you can. So why is that?
Wait, is this refreshed? Okay.
Oh, but now they're all 3. They're just 3. They're just 3 for no reason. 3. Like you haven't clicked anything yet.
No.
Refresh. Yeah.
I think it's running instantly. I think that on click has to be a function, not a. It has to be a function reference, not the result of a function.
Let me see let me see weight training set.
Yep.
Yeah, on click needs to be an arrow function.
Yeah, so inside the curly, do open close parentheses. Inside the curly. Between curly and the P. Yep. Open close parentheses. Arrow.
Yeah. Oh, right, because it's actually executing it.
Yeah, it was immediately.
Yep. Immediately. It needs to be able to pass back. Yeah. Okay.
So it didn't
work.
Right. Let's see what happens.
So now it's got to recompile. And now.
There is a way to do that and then pass the value of that button, set the value of it to set.count. And then pull the value off the event, and then you wouldn't have to have an arrow function. You can just have the function of on click set to ink set count.
Yeah. The ink set count would need to take in just the set, though, right?
Because right now, for every render of this row, you're creating a new function reference. Because
okay.
So
Okay.
That's a hyper optimization, but just something to be aware of.
Okay.
So if you click plus now, nothing happens, or
nothing's happening.
Nothing happens. Yeah.
No,
so you got to trigger the render. Yeah.
Okay. So, but if we were to move this, so if we pull right now, that's because this is sitting here, and if we move this up into the state, the internal state is what you're saying, right?
Local state.
Well, you could even put it
into
local state in here.
Yep.
I haven't done this.
So in order to do that, how do I do that? It would have. Okay, let me just pull it off of. Well, I guess I'll just pull the whole day off and put it in local state.
Is local state shared?
It's local to the
component.
The component. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe I just want to put the sets in local state right now because.
Well, I mean, it's not going to matter. If you put the day in local state, it'd have the same effect.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I would say put it in local state here is fine. So I have been using the use state hook out of React. So on line
so we
1,
need to do an import here.
Line 1 after React, comma, open close curly.
You say local state, I think you're talking about something fancy.
This one?
Just use state. Okay.
Curlies. Yep. Use state. Lowercase u, uppercase state.
Yarp.
Okay.
And then
what is this? So I understand.
You could really put the whole thing in curly braces, but it's just it's pulling it's object destructuring. It's the exact same thing as before. You're pulling out.
I gotcha.
Use state,
and now we're going to put it into a variable called use state.
Yeah, you could just as easily have done React.use state and it would have worked. Yep. But this isolates it so that you don't have to type React every time.
Makes sense.
So underneath, so right before const set types, so underneath day, line 10. Yep. So we'll do like a const square bracket day.
Inside of here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Lowercase d.
Comma.
Set day. And then close square equals use state. Open parentheses null. And actually
null.
Maybe yes, and then
do it. No, do an empty object.
We'll move let day up and then just push day in. So the default would be day.
I see.
It should be 89, right?
Okay. So you're not going to make him use effect or whatever yet?
Not yet.
Don't make me. Not yet.
So this would be
then this is passing the default and I see
of day. Yeah.
Yep.
Then inside inc set count, you would need to call set day. And
right
pass
on.
In the new value of the modified day.
Yeah. So after you do the plus just do a set day.
Does days set, does filter modify?
Filter doesn't modify, no.
Filter doesn't, but inc
it does, but you're modifying a space in memory. So the set day basically just triggers. It does set the value, but it also triggers the React update lifecycle.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter that you've already manipulated the memory. The reason why you're calling set day is more to trigger the lifecycle updates rather than trigger the actual change of the data. And it's all local to the component, so it doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be immutable, all that fun stuff, but whatever.
Okay.
You want to do it right, or do you want it to work?
It might be mad because we've got const of day and set day and day and day and day and day. So we might want to name our variable at the top default day or something. So let default day.
DS.
DS.
Like DIAS. It means day.
Dis.
Oh, dis day.
Yeah,
day.
Dis day works. What day are we talking about? Dis one.
and then line 84 or whatever that was, the default of it there. Yeah, 82. Yep.
So much day.
Now, when you're referencing day, it's actually getting it out of state.
Yes, and so
you're referencing that on 92.
Yeah,
which is fine. Which is what you want.
It's what you want. Yeah, then just wait for weird stuff to finish.
You might want to you need to move set types up before dis day, I think.
So yeah.
Just put a var in front of it; it'll get hoisted. It'll be fine.
Actually, I think it wouldn't be a constant.
Well, const and let and all that would still get hoisted. They get hoisted to the top of their closure, which is the function. So they still get hoisted.
Yeah,
anyway.
so that should have been.
Well, it's not going to get hoisted above another variable, probably.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Compiling. So we're coming up. We are past 10 o'clock Eastern.
Coming up on 1 minute after.
Coming up on 1 minute after, which is usually when we turn into pumpkins. So we'll see if this compiles, if this works. Hopefully end on a high note, and then call it a night for us here on the East Coast of the United States. 1 minute warning. Hashtag
1 minute after warning.
1 minute after warning. negative 2 minute warning. Is that?
I gotta watch me some Barnwood Builders.
So it rendered.
Plus.
It did render.
It didn't do anything, but it rendered.
It didn't do anything.
Yeah,
I think you might have to do. No. Why is it not?
I'm not sure 92, 93 do what we think it does. But whatever.
We'll do a console. I gotta know that it's at least calling it. I think maybe it's not calling it.
Debugger.
Oh, just do a console log. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. You can log whatever. Log day. Do it after the count plus plus.
Do it both.
Yeah, well, then it'll just get all foggy and nasty.
We'll do.
You're like, which day is the right day? I don't know.
Well, because we'll do this. We'll do.
This day and that day.
Day.
Oi.
Day 79. We're still receiving packages, but all other signs of civilization have gone.
So if you like what you're seeing, we will be back.
Sorry.
For live coding next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern. We will be back on Monday for the live stream of the podcast. It's recompiling again, so we're done. Hang out, and we will raid our friend. Who are we going to raid? Looks like Callow Creation is on.
We can't leave until we see the log output.
I know. I'm just preparing.
I wish that this application had a different context.
Callow's been on for 5 hours? Is that? Goodness gracious.
Click it a button. All right.
Object. Perfect.
That didn't work.
Yeah, no, but look, it's up at the. Yeah, I don't know. You got to do a comma, not a interpolated string. What does the first one say? Click the arrow on the first one. What does it have for count in the appropriate set?
That should be this one. 3.
Count 3. Okay, that's what we wanted. Click it again. And then go find the thing. Or actually just, well, yeah, for sure. See, the nice thing about JavaScript that you didn't realize that you were doing, because otherwise you wouldn't have done it, when you expand this and it's evaluated by Chrome, it gets the current state, not the state as it was when you logged it. So your double logs really don't mean anything.
So it's doing it, it's just not updating.
Right, it's not pushing it to the UI, yeah. So it's something with no. Set count can't happen where it's happening, right? Things have to happen inside of a use effect or use something else, don't they? You can't just use set stuff wherever you want, right? I don't know. I don't.
Well, no, it's happening. It is happening. It is updating it and pulling it back out of state.
No, we're
triggering a re-render.
Oh, it updated.
Well,
It says 4 now.
It does.
I think something else triggered the update because it's not happening when you click the button.
Yeah, well, I deleted this, and so it's like...
Oh, it refreshed the page.
Yeah.
So you forced an update via hot loading. Yeah,
it'll work flawlessly.
Set day is not triggering the render cycle for some reason, and I think it's because those type of manipulations have to be, they can't just be out in the open. You can't just run a function and go, oh, I changed the data. It all has to come via the right path with React. John's looking at me funny, so I could be completely wrong, but I think it's something to do with that.
Could be.
But yeah, the only reason that we were seeing 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever down here in the console log is because we're manipulating the memory space. So we don't actually know that set day is actually updating it. Or it could look at it and it go, oh, nothing to update.
We do know it is doing it because it's getting it out of state.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. I mean, it is, but here's the thing. When you say set a new state, if you're setting the same state as the current state, it does nothing. We have manipulated the memory location. So when it receives the day and it goes, oh, I want to update to the state of the day, it goes, is anything different? No, nothing's different. I'm not going to do anything. So instead, right? So instead, go to, you'd have to do it fancy-like. I don't think it's not something I can just walk you through like, you know, in one go. But so basically, okay. instead of set day, do set day open curly braces inside of set day on the other side. Well, you could have left that. We're going to need it in a second. Open curly braces. Well, in front of day. No, curly braces.
This is what it's like working with Clayton, by the way.
Okay, just open them. Don't close them. Okay, ... right next to day. Right in front of it. We're like touching it. Okay. Now a comma after day. Okay. Now, okay, so we're gonna do a change just to do a change. It's not gonna be the change you want, but we're gonna do a change. Okay? So sets colon open close square brace. Close curly brace. Okay, so now when you run the application and you click that plus button, it's going to erase all your sets. because it will trigger a render action, because the value that we're passing in is different from the value that it currently holds in memory. Whereas before, with the ink set, we were manipulating the value in memory. So when it compared it, it was like nothing to do. So it didn't re-render.
Okay.
So the reason why I can't walk you through like the entire solution is because we have to do this sets, and then you'd have to do a map, and then you'd have to find the one where it matches, and then you'd have to change the value, and then bleh. So now click a button, click a plus, and watch everything disappear. Boom. So your set is going to have to be somewhat more complicated in this particular setup.
A nice bug.
Yeah. When I click plus, everything disappears. It wipes out my entire day.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's why I think that day sets filter isn't doing what we think it's doing.
No, it is. Okay, so day is a memory reference. It's just a reference to a space in memory, right? So if you were to say day equals X, then that would change the pointer to be a different location in memory. But when you go day dot something equals X, you're not modifying the memory pointer or the memory reference for day. You're modifying the memory pointer or the memory reference for something else. And so it gets copied onto day just fine, right? So when you say set day, it looks at the memory reference for day and it goes, nothing's changed.
I think we're saying the same thing. The
filter is not making a copy.
Yes, and that's what I was saying earlier, that we want to make sure that it's immutable, so we want to pass in a new instance of day that is essentially all of the old data with the newly modified data.
All of the old data with the one thing that we want changed, updated.
But it needs to be a new copy of that.
Right. So if you did sets : day.sets.map, and then you created new objects in there, then you would get new versions of things.
Yes.
But that line would be a long line to do in one go, so I didn't want to try to walk him through it. Had enough time getting him to put a curly brace in the front.
Alt up. Yeah. Learning test-driven development together with Clayton backseat coding behind you.
Well, next time we'll just get the live share going.
We could do that. I think my slow problem is fixed since I removed the cellophane from the CPU.
Well, I would be the one hosting it too, so right?
Yeah,
I'm doing the stream, so who knows?
When you guys, you guys were comparing your computer specs on Monday night, and that's why I was saying Clayton's machine was doing a lot more than yours was, Ash, and it was doing without a CPU cooler. So, with that, folks, I think we are going to call it a night. We appreciate everyone hanging out and asking questions. If there's anything we can do for anyone, feel free to reach out if you need any help, any advice, any thoughts, any suggestions, anything you want to see specifically, or having code reviews that you want done, all except for our friend Ward. We're not going to do your code review until you get your 10,000 points. Even though it is for my personal project, just giving him some grief. With that, we will be back on Monday evening for the live stream of the podcast, 6 p.m. Eastern, and for live coding next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. So with that, we will raid our buddy over at Callow Creation and say goodnight, everybody.
Good night.